Welcome back, Dadskillz. We've got something a little bit different today. Just a talking head video, and I've waited about 8 or 9 months to make this video. I wanted to let the dust settle on the process, and that is the house buying and moving process, and the difficulty we had with solicitors. And I think if you've recently moved or you're in the process of moving, you too may have some of the same experiences that we had. And I'd love to hear whether you agree or disagree with some of the things I'm going to say in the comments below. And I'd also like to hear from a solicitor. If you're a solicitor, tell me if I'm talking rubbish. Tell me if you agree. Tell me where you think the process could be improved.
Dadskillz, 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 Dadskillz.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. So in the UK, you pay something called stamp duty when you move house. And it's basically a tax, another tax that we've got to pay. There's different bandings, and I can't remember off the top of my head what the bandings were. But during the pandemic, the government wanted us to keep moving and keep buying and selling houses. So they said up to this certain threshold, you won't have to pay any stamp duty. So that's cool. So a lot of people moved, and we've been trying to move for ages. And luckily, we found a buyer, and we found a house, and we set the wheels in motion. So you instruct a solicitor, they start the ball rolling, and one of the first things they get on with is the searches, and they sort of farm that out to someone else, in our case. And then 6 weeks after we started the whole process, the people doing the searches get in contact with us saying, you just instructed us to start the searches 6 weeks after we started moving. So that put us back 6 weeks. So that's fantastic. So that's the first instance of the solicitor not doing their job properly, even though they're being paid handsomely to do so. And I understand they're under a lot of pressure, especially at that time, because everyone wanted to move before a certain date, because afterward you'd have to pay the stamp duty. So that's fair enough. So I understand they're under some pressure. And when you first instruct the solicitor, or in our case, I won't name them because I've got a feeling they're all as bad as each other, so I don't think any name calling will do us any good here. So you get the letter and it says, please don't contact us because it could slow down your the process. And I took heed of that to start with. I thought, yeah, fair enough. The last thing I would want is, or the last thing I do want is someone on my back all the time, because it would get my back up and it would irritate me. But it may well make me do something quicker, which we'll get onto a bit later. So they're pretty slow to start with. And then we learn the woman who's dealing with our case is part-time. So that slows things down. And this is where my lack of knowledge, I will openly admit, I don't know the process inside a solicitor's office. I'm guessing that there is a qualified solicitor, or numerous ones, and then there is some kind of clerk maybe, or clerks, that actually do the groundwork, and the solicitor goes through it at the end and finalises it. So even though she was part-time, there must have been people beavering away at the process and getting things together, the searches together, answering all the questions. And the questions that we answered, whenever they were asked by our buyer's solicitor and the buyer, they were answered on the dot there and then, because we couldn't hang about. And so nearing the time of completion, we get another letter, and it's always a letter. Well, they can't contact you any quicker than that. It's always a letter, and it says you really must answer these questions that have been raised by the buyer and the buyer's solicitor. Yeah, we only answered that, what was that, 4 or 5 weeks before? And so we sent an email and we sent a letter recorded at the same time, with all the info they needed, and they just hadn't seen it, opened it, acknowledged it. Communication, awful. You don't get told anything. And at certain points, that's all we were after. We were just after knowing where we were in the process. And then it all got a little bit stressful, because we were at the point then where we could have actually been in the new house by then, and we were still nowhere nearer. And that was frustrating, because we were getting near to the stamp duty threshold being raised again. So then we disregard the bit in the letter that said, don't contact us, because it could slow down the process. Oh yeah. And that's when we had to go into arsehole mode. I was phoning 3 times a day just to get an answer. And you always generally get the secretary to start with, And I'm sure they're told, please don't put them through because we're very, very busy. So we get the secretary all the time. And then we find out our solicitor is now on a course. Fantastic. How nice for her. And then if you're really lucky, the secretary will let slip the name of the actual clerk that's actually doing the majority of the work for the solicitor. So now I can phone up and I can ask to speak to her by name directly. So that's great. So that's a little tip there. Try and get the name. Because you won't get to speak to the solicitor. They just won't let you. It's just not happening. We're back and forth. And we've got a sales progressor for the estate agent. She's back and forth. And so at that point, we get so frustrated, we complain through her to the actual manager of this solicitor's practice. And so in the end, we actually get somewhere. And the top dog is now on our case because this is the solicitors that the estate agent recommends. And rightly or wrongly, we went with them because, we do this every 10 years or whatever it is, so we don't know. So we go with who they recommend and they say, oh yeah, we deal with them all the time. So we have a bit of leverage there and we think, okay, fair enough. So in the end, we get the top dog involved and we're still phoning every day and just to make her want to get rid of us to get us off her back. Because I think that would work with me. If someone was on my back all the time, I'd do it just to get them out of the way. So we get this woman and in the end, she emails us and says, we know that you're very eager to get this move done, but now you just need to give us some time to actually go through the final documents and all the rest of it. So fair enough, we'll give you some time. So we're final knock-ins and we're waiting for the keys on the day, and it's got to like 5 o'clock at night. All our money's across there in the solicitor's bank account, ready to go. And then it's the buyer's solicitor, not even been in contact. It's just so frustrating. So we then have to wait until a bit later until the buyer's solicitor and they all exchange the money at the same time and all the rest of it. So we get in at the end. Then a couple of months later, not months, a month later maybe, when we're in, we get a letter saying from the solicitor that we used, if you'd like us to provide you a quotation to do your wills, or we can do your wills for you, just let us know. No, you are absolutely useless. I won't be using you again. So look, it's a ranty video, I know. But if you bought or sold a house in the UK, I think it's something that you will know the frustrations of. So what I really want from this video is I want a solicitor to tell me how wrong I am in the comments and how awful their life is and how awful their job is and how stressful. Because I just get the feeling in the UK there is a growing lack of competency in every single job. There's a growing lack of conscientiousness in most fields of work. So is that the problem in the legal profession and house conveyancing and all the rest of it? Now, I know from what I've read in the papers that even starting salaries are going through the roof for these sort of jobs. Money seems to be going up and the competency level seems to be going down. So I'd like to know what you think about that in the comments. That'd be great. So that's it from Dadskillz today. Take a look at the video that YouTube have recommended for you. That'll be on the screen in a moment. And I'll catch you again really soon. Cheers.
Dadskillz, 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 Dadskillz.